Torment. Tides of Numenera. With me, Feuerglatze. And today, the first time at... what time is it? At 5 o'clock p.m. Maybe this will change anything about the turnout. The turnout of the people that might be here or might not be. And apart from that... nothing's new. We played through Resident Evil 7 yesterday. A very good game. But today is not Resident Evil 7 day, it's Torment Tides of Numenera day. So, welcome. Welcome! And let's load the game. And we are still in the Bloom. The Bloom is a living thing that has a city inside of it, and it has many different maws, and these maws, they are portals to other dimensions, and sometimes people from these dimensions come into the Bloom. It's a little like it's feeding. Yeah, well, this is the Bloom, and it does have something to do with the changing guard, because he, and we know that by looking at this thing, in the past wanted to, had the idea that with the Bloom, he might be able to get away from the sorrow through one of these small portals. But we are not going to do that. We are the last cast-off, and we have very different plans. We don't want to die, first of all. It's hard to kill us already, but the changing guard, by the info we have from... yes, from Mazov's mare. So we were we weren't in Mazov's memories, but we were in the memories of someone who, Tash was his name, I think, who knew Mazov, and Mazov told him in the past that, the Changing Guard has a plan in how he wants to defeat the sorrow, but in order to do that, he has to kill all of us all of us cast-offs. There's only one last cast-offs, and that's me. We were in Mila West, where all of the cast-offs took refuge from the sorrow, and, well, anytime they wanted to. But the sorrow attacked Mila West, and we, through a last resort, you could say, in Mila West, which the Changing Guard built many centuries, decades and centuries, millennia ago even. I don't know. We got sphinctered out of here and struck a deal with Dracogen, who tells us how we could meet the Memovira, which is behind this huge gate, and which, well, is kind of the boss in the Bloom, the underworld boss of the Bloom in the Bloom, and he can maybe introduce ourselves to her. But in order so that he does that, he wants us to find the magmatic amulet. And this is where we are trying to go now. Or at least we are stepping out of here. We have looked at everything there is to see here, and I love the design of the Bloom. It's living, and this is my favorite track of the Bloom. It has this hidden power. Okay, let's leave the area. Are we still Bloom juiced? The Bloom provides kind of water, and I think I want to. No, we are not Bloom juiced. Let's get Bloom juiced. Because then, warum heute so spät? In English, please. Nee, kann ich dir auch auf Deutsch sagen? Heute so spät? Ja, Änderung. 17 bis 19:30 Uhr, damit mehr Leute vielleicht zuschauen, die das vielleicht wollen. Ab 15 Uhr hat niemand eingeschaltet. Nichts und niemand. Und deswegen noch die kleine Änderung. Aber ich glaube, das wird jetzt so der Streamingplan sein. Immer von Montag und Mittwoch ab 19:30 Uhr und Dienstag und Donnerstag quasi bis 19:30 Uhr. Ja. That's it. Now let's get bloom juiced, Bamsebiene. Du kannst natürlich auch immer noch Deutsch schreiben. Ich glaube, das stört niemanden. Und dann werde ich auch auf Deutsch antworten, aber just be aware that we are talking English here. Or I am, because no one else is here. Let's drink the yellowish water and get bloom juiced. Nice. Okie dokie. Now that we've done that, we want to see if maybe Tybia can use his flex skill to do what? What can he do? Better deception? Oh no, that's me. Better running, maybe? Or endurance? Persuasion, deception, that's his stuff. He's intimidating. No kind of law? He's law machinery? Law natural? Oh, he was law mystical, wasn't he? Yeah, I gave him mystical law.
What do you need?
That's what his flex skill should do. Law mystical. Okie dokie.
All right.
I don't know what that is. Shit! Nee. No. I did use the right person. Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okie dokie. And we want to get better with, wasn't it? Natural law? No. You already have natural law. But you can always get better. And or more perception. What we also have two perception, haven't we? 2 points in perception and law and anamnesis. Let's get more natural law. Or perception. Or natural law. Ah, shitballs. Das war doch ein süßer Satz. Dankeschön, Bamsebiene. Genau, wir sehen uns bis morgen. Am morgigen Tag. Ich habe gerade noch, über Prime haben wir ja das für der Sohnemann bestellt. Und das kam heute an. Und Papa hat es gerade noch vorbeigebracht auf seinem Weg zum Optiker. Und es ist gerade, ich kann es von hier aus sehen. Es ist vielleicht 1,5 Meter entfernt. Da steht's auf Cutie Cats Tisch. Sieht super aus. Deine Sachen sind übrigens dort. Die sind da beim Teppich. So spannend. Hatte. Okay. Dokili. Ne, Perception or Natural Law? I don't know anymore. We are in a living thing stuff. So, yeah, Natural Law.
Just what I needed.
Just what I needed. And you, Elegant, get a different... Yes, ornament. You have to get hastened. Because that's much more practical. I know you could be... No, and you have 2 intimidation and 2 in machinery law. So, no, you don't need this... This ornament... I'm accidentally double-clicking. Okay, so. You have... Else window. These are... I can't use them. These are just for sale. Or to sell. Now. We are bloom-juiced and... flex-skilled. Das kann sein, dass Cutie Cat das noch arrangieren wird, dass es in einem Körbchen landet. Hallo, Captain Greenbear! Ahoi! Boom.
All right.
Captain Greenbear, I don't know if have you ever watched me playing Torment? I think you have. But just so you know, you viewers out there can decide what I should do when the time comes. Your choices, my voices. The corpse of an insect of gigantic proportions lies here. On close inspection, you see that it appears to be in the midst of getting absorbed into the wall by the bloom.
I'm going.
If you have questions or I want a kind of recap, just ask. To little Neil, yes? Ah, there are the two shitballs that were kicking. I forgot her name, but she was nice to us and she didn't deserve it. To the trade post. Okay, let's talk to these fellows. Heya! Q without E! You know the drill. You can decide what I should do sometimes when the choices come. But I'm just repeating it so you don't feel left out. I don't know. And if you want to have a recap, say the word. And I will try to give it to you. I did it at the beginning of the stream, but then I'll just do it again. Caravan Guard.
Seriously, can you hear it? The bloom is hungry. That noise sounds like my stomach rumbling.
Guess we're not going anywhere for a while. Oh. Okay, guess you're not saying anything else for a while. Okie dokie. That's an Anine. They are cute. Caravan Guard. The lads and I just got the wagon. Our employers are those two merchants over there. Ooh, so maybe I shouldn't scream into the microphone? And I think that's one of the cutest things anyone has ever said to me.
Doing it now.
Can we just hack our way through? Nope, like I said, it ain't there anymore. But you told us this was the way. It used to be, now it ain't. The bloom does what she likes. Human merchant. Hello there. The two merchants turn toward you. One is a heavyset human with a large head and a wide bony face. The other is a particularly thin and sickly looking Varjellen. That's this one. Its head crest is decorated with symbols that are unknown to you. Both are dressed in rich clothing. I hope you weren't planning to visit the Ascension, friend, says the human, whose face is set in a permanent frown. The only road was in there. He gestures toward the massive jaw that has closed. That is a jaw. Over the far end of the platform. What happened here? As we approach, the entrance grows teeth, says the emaciated Varjellen. It speaks with a strange, halting accent, as if the truth is not its native tongue. The teeth get big and turn into a great jaw. Down it comes, swift and cruel. I know. What other accents are there besides East European? And I'm sorry for this. But I don't make the sun. Okay? I'm very glad that until now it didn't do this. But we have to go through it. Or can't I just can I do anything manually? Okay. Yeah. Let's try that. That's okay. Another accent. The teeth get big and turn in I don't know. And turn into a great jaw. Down it comes, swift and cool. All this happens fast, in time it takes to walk 5 steps. The human grimaces. The bloom's good for 3 things, friend. Farting up smoke to burn our eyes, pissing foul water for us to drink, and eating whoever and whatever it likes. We're headed for the trade post. Where else? The Ascension has its own perils, but it's blessed with a bounty of useful things, unlike this place. Try getting anyone to pay for a hunk of quivering bloom flesh. The merchant scowls and spits. We trade in crystals from Ascension place. Good business there, bad business here. The Varjellen attempts to scowl and spit in the same manner as its friend, but it only manages to spray the front of its garment with a bluish fluid from its nose slits. I'm trying to get to the Ascension. What can you tell me about it? A world made of crystal, like this. The Varjellen plucks a finger-sized gemstone from its pocket. It seems to quiver of its own accord as if it's alive. All things in Ascension made of crystal. Living creatures too. It is a cold and dark place. The sun is too small in the sky. Or maybe this is another exit. We don't venture far from the gate. Nobody does if they are smart. Anything new? No. So, what you going to do now? The Grisseler man asks us to go with him into depths of the bloom. Seek out our other mouths, jaws, maws that lead to a trade post. We are not stupid, we say no. I don't know what kind of accent that is, but it's now the official Varjellen accent. The Varjellen twists its face into a deep frown in a remarkable imitation of its companion. Clearly, it has been practicing. That's one of these choices where you might want to propose an answer. I think 3 and 4 are just the normal, okay, see you later then. But 1 and 2 might do something. But I want to, first I want to talk to the guide, so I'm hesitant to choose 2, even though I would like to choose it. 1, okay. Better to search for another way than stay here and do nothing. The merchant snorts. Better for you, perhaps, if you're young and poor and eager to die. We are none of those things. Do you have anything to trade? Not yet. We offer salts and dyes and alchemical powders to our contact in the Ascension. Whatever it is, absorbs what it likes and gives us crystalline artifacts in return. If we ever manage to get there, then I might have something to trade. You could try that flesh merchant on the next platform. What's his name again? Sundermun? His name is Sundermun. The Varjellen bobs its head each time it speaks the name. 2 men here, but also 1. Sure you have nothing to trade? If we ever reach the Ascension, we'll have something of value to sell. Crystalline Numenera of all shapes and sizes. Never the same things twice. Okie dokie. Farewell! In this place? I doubt it. Grisseler. As you approach, you see 2 well-dressed merchants in heated conversation with a wiry man who is wearing an assortment of odd-looking leathers and hides. Upon seeing you... Oh. Some spittle. The wiry fellow shoos the merchants away and turns in your direction. Instead of feet, you notice that he has 2 hand-like appendages, fashioned from metal and synth. Indeed, both of his legs have been replaced by these artificial arms that appear remarkably flexible.
Looking for the trade post?
The wiry man flashes a lopsided grin and jabs a thumb at the giant toothy jaw behind him.
Used to be in there, till the bloom got hungry and dated. At least I think that's what happened. Never can tell what this big old sack of guts we call home.
Were there people in there? Do they need help? One of the merchants spits. Not anymore.
Can't say for sure if they're dead.
The wiry man squints hard at the merchant.
A lot of times the bloom just moves one of her parts someplace else, so there ought to be a mall that can take you there. Finding it though, that's the trick.
I'll remember that.
Name's Grisseler, by the way. Bloom guard, explorer, and scout. 3 times eaten by the bloom and still intact.
Well, mostly. He wiggles the artificial fingers on one of his feet. I have some... I could have chosen the other options. And I thought I could choose all of them one by one. I hate when games do that. Okay. Why is the wagon just standing here? You'd better ask these two fellas here. He nods at the well-dressed merchants. See, they were supposed to be heading for the Ascension by way of the old trade post, but then the Bloom decided to eat in the trade post, so now they're stuck. I keep telling them to look on the bright side. At least they weren't inside the trade post when it got eaten. But they weren't here. Never seen a couple of two of fellas so determined to be miserable. Grisseler squints suspiciously at the two merchants. Anyway, until they decide what to do next, we're staying put. And since they are paying my wage, I do what they tell me. Some questions. Where would I go to look for a maw? Used to be I could answer that question easy enough. I'll tell you just where to find them and where they lead and what to feed them, but something's got the Bloom all riled up. And she's opening and closing maws however she likes. He shakes his head disapprovingly, as if talking about his own disobedient child. So, if I was you, I'd try the darkest corners of this gut bag I could find. Dank and nasty places, that's where Moors like to rip themselves into being. The slums are a good place to start, little Neelish, church and slum. Foul little host like that. Again? More about the slums. Grisseler lets out a long puff of air, and you're fairly certain that its breath is the same color as the fetid smoke emitted by the Bloom itself. Certainly it smells near as bad. Well now, he says, rocking back on the heels of his hand feet. From where we are right here, you can find your way to Threon. Little Ilish, where all them funny-looking mutants live, Choyage Slum, where folk go to get their bodies hacked or healed, and the old slave block. He makes a sour face. Folk don't go there at all unless they're murders, but murders don't really count as folk. What do you know about Choyage Slum? That's where I got fitted with these. He taps the metal and synth arms that double as his legs. Couple of nice fellas helped me out when the Bloom made my legs. They were a little odd, I'll admit, and lacking in the social graces. Kept calling me by a number rather than my name. Nowadays, the slum is under the protection of a bunch of soldier types. Deserters, I hear, from some battle that never ends. Imagine that, fighting in an endless battle. Should have thought it through before they signed up, that's what I say. Old slave block. Used to be a prison for slaves back in the days of Chila the Great. They carved it out of the Bloom flesh with swords that spat solid light and blades that weren't all there. Folks say that's where Chila was chained up and that's where her legend was born. Wouldn't know it anymore. It's all feathers and filth in there now. Ever since the Merns moved in, they're a pack of dirty thieves, and if you get too close to one of them, your thoughts get all staticky. Makes it hard to just about anything. I read it's because they talk to each other with their minds, but I guess they can't do it quiet and polite. Again? Again? Okay. I have other questions. Well, not. Doesn't look like I'm going in for a while. How do these maws work? Grisseler squints at you for a moment as if trying to decide if he trusts you or not. Then he nods. Okay. A maw is a door, see? A living door. It's a connection between somewhere in the Bloom and another place. That other place might be right around the corner, or it might be in a whole different world. Maybe in a whole different time, it don't matter none to the Bloom. Only one rule with maws. You feed them what they want, and they open. Trouble is, every maw wants something different. Might be an emotion, or a color, or the blood of one particular fella. Or if you're unlucky that day, might be your own 2 legs. Maws are stubborn, every one of them. Until you give them what they want, they'll stay shut. Unless you got a way to cut them open. Takes a special kind of weapon to do that, but the Bloop don't like it one bit. No, she don't. She'll remember a fella who cuts open her maws, and things won't go easy for that fella around here. Do you know why? Again? Somehow I didn't heed his warning in my first playthrough. I remember that at one time I was just cutting everything open that I saw. Maybe that explains a few things toward the end of the game. Do you know why the bloom is acting strangely? She's hungry for something, or someone. I can hear it in her voices, just like when a mole wants to eat somebody, only this time it's the whole bloom. This sort of thing used to scare me, it did. Probably still should. Questions about you. Alright, what questions will those be? You call yourself a bloom guide? That's right. Ain't nobody around here who knows the bloom as well as old Grisseler. I harm myself out to fellas like these. He nods toward the two merchants who are standing nearby and get him where they need to go. Of course, I'm happy to give advice for free. Can't say I ever get tired of talking about the bloom, or about anything really. Again, nothing new. You were eaten by the bloom 3 times? Yep. First time, the bloom ate me. She took my sense of smell and taste. That's fine, I told myself. Now I can eat all them foul-tasting vegetables that folks always said were so good for me. Second time, the bloom took my ability to feel fear. Pfft, what I'd ever need that for? Just kept me from doing things that make good for stories, that make for good stories later. Third time, the bloom took my legs. She was kind enough to cauterize the stumps though, so I wouldn't bleed to death. Then I met a couple of fellas over in the slum and they fitted me up with these. Grisseler slaps the synth arms that are now serving as his legs. Truth is, I'm faster and nimbler now than I ever was, but I don't like to tell too many people, or they'd all be clamoring to swap their legs for a pair of arms. Why do you say she to the bloom? Do I? Must be because I'm always hearing her voice. Like a whispery, chittery sound, tells when she's hungry or full, happy or cross. It helps to know that sort of thing when I'm guiding folks through her gates. Again. Okay. You seem rather nonchalant. Well, I've been here for a long while, and the bloom ate my sense of fear, so there's that too. I like to think she's looking out for me. Sure, she takes a little part of me now and then, but life does that to all of us, don't it? Well, maybe not so literally, but you know what I mean. Look at his clothes. His garments are rough but reasonably well made, though the material is strange to you. It seems to be a type of leather, but it's thicker and heavier than any leather you've seen, and the colors are scabrous and ugly. Grisseler catches you looking and he nods. Tan bloom flesh, tough but strong. Old Sundermun made these. He waves a hand toward one of the walkways that leads off into the vast interior. Other questions? What about you? Okie dokie. Farewell, Grisseler. You ever need to ask about the bloom, come find me again. Okie dokie. I'll do that, Grisseler. Yep, the part does seem to end here. It looks like, I don't know, 9-inch nails coming true. This place. Okie dokie, let's go over this bridge and see what's here.
Yes.
There's Sundermun they were talking about. And there seems to be something inside of... This looks like... I don't know what. But it seems familiar. As an organ. Huh.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. A blister of flesh protrudes from the ground, an irritated, angry pustule. It is almost entirely opaque, but you see the faintest hints of movement within. Examine the cyst. You study the movement within the cyst more closely, as if in response to your curiosity. The shadow of a hand claws at the interior and vanishes. Someone or something is trapped inside the cyst. Touch the cyst. You feel something pressing against your mind. A sharp presence like the thought of pain, thrusting its experiences into your imagination. As your fingers brush the flesh of the cyst, the memories come pouring in, flooding your thoughts with emotions of lives you have never lived. Stories from countless lives lost in the bloom. Reach out for a random memory in the swirling maelstrom, and its particulars become immediately, shockingly clear. After what seems like hours of flight, you think you may have found a way to elude the older girls. You swallowed your pride and buried yourself in the mounded refuse of Little Nilyesh. The smell of rotting food and putrid meat filling your nose. Better than to suffer the abuse they are likely to hand out. Buried as you are, you can only hear them as they approach. I was thinking more of a heart. A heart has two sides with a wall between, but maybe it's just a cyst. Where did that little Ruba go? Demands one. She's standing right in front of you, and she's breathing hard. From the rage in her voice, where did that little Ruba go? You know that the beating will be a savage one. At least 4 of them are looking for you, but you know deep down that if you don't stand up to them at some point, this will just keep happening. Ooh. Yeah, but that's why I thought Brain has more texture to it and doesn't look so bloated. What to do? Q without E. And Captain Greenbear. And anyone else who wants to decide. I think I know what I did the first time. That I'm glad you say that, because the first time I think I did, I chose number 2. The hunters kick desultorily around the trash, one of them coming heart-stoppingly close to your body. You hold your breath, tense to run, and then one of them calls out, Mirkal, over here! I think she went this way! You hear their footsteps race off. When they vanish from your hearing, you open your eyes and climb stinking from the heap. You wake from the vision, your body shaking involuntarily from the experience. A brief moment later and you are reoriented in your own flesh. You find yourself once again standing before the massive cyst in the bloom. You kept your host safe, but you sensed that wasn't what was needed here. This vision, and the others contained within the cyst's fibers, are a lock of sorts. To open it, you will need to suffer. You will need to become prey. Then, okay, attack him! You try to burst from the refuse, imagining a dramatic entrance that will leave them stunned for a moment as you wreak your vengeance on their ringleader. Wreak your vengeance, I don't know. What happens instead is that you draw yourself in to leap at them. They see the movement in the pile and they are ready for you, even if you hadn't slipped on the moldering food. Your dramatic leap looks more like an accidental fall into your tormentor's arms. You're slicked with grease and rotten food, and they have a hard time holding you. For one moment, you have a chance to break free and run. Or you can stand and fight and show them that you're not scared of them. Fight, I guess. You lash out, and your fist actually connects with the ringleader's face, rocking her head back. The blood that spills from her nose is dark and hot, but the rage in her eyes is cold and dead. She thrusts you back into the garbage, and as you struggle to regain your feet, one of her allies, a girl with snakes for fingers, sees that hate and tries to pull her friend back. Please, Mirkal, not for this one. Mirkal says, oh yes, yes for this one. She looks at her friend and says, and if you don't help, you're next. The 4 of them get to work. An eternity later, they stop. They spit on you as they leave. You try to move, but a sharp and grinding pain in your leg shrills agony into your mind. Your eyes have swollen shut, your teeth are broken, and your shattered fingers are incapable of even the barest movement. Darkness closes over you. You return to your own mind with the death of your host, knowing that what you saw, what you felt, was true. The life you lived was full, rich, and ended here in the bloom. Your host's remaining moments were saturated with pain. Your muscles still twitch with the memory of agony, and your suffering bleeds into the cyst, loosening its fleshy fibers. It appears that the bloom has sealed something within this cyst, and your agony is the key that will let it loose, that will set it loose. Another one? Another memory. You gaze through the faint shimmer and ripple of the force field, down the silent, red-veined tunnel into the pulsating black. It looks empty. You know it is now. You feel the eyes on you, the hungry eyes. But you feel no fear. You feel emptiness within you, under a scab that you want to pick. Examine the emptiness. You remember her laughing face. You remember her closing her eyes, the tentacles of her hair writhing around the back of your head, pulling you in for a kiss. You remember her delighted laughter when you told her you'd found a lost settlement at the end of a quiet tunnel in the bloom, untouched by scavengers. A fortune lying on shelves and in neat crates. You remember leading her by the hand. The pain rises. Your hand strokes the force field's controls. Keep digging! You don't want to remember. You don't. But you go deeper anyway. You'd installed the shield to protect your find from the other explorers. But when you fled the ruins and the shrieking things beneath, it was the shield that saved you. You, and not her. You saw them fall on her 10 steps from safety. Pale claws, blood-painted, screams from beneath the seething pile. So much blood, and she never stopped screaming. Finally, you raised the shield, and only then did silence fall. You look at your hand, hovering over the shield controls. For all you know, she could still be screaming, down there in the ruins. And it's your fault. The life you were going to build together is gone, erased. You have just one more thing to do. Join her. Open the force field. Your hand slides across the control and you deactivate the screen. Silence follows. She is not still screaming. You feel a moment's relief. The countless nightmares lied to you after all. You take a single step into the dark, another, and then they swarm up the tunnel and fall on you, biting and clawing and chewing and shrieking. After endless agony, blackness claims you. Consciousness calls you back to its arms, and you find yourself aching emotionally and physically from these experiences. Your muscles throb and pulse with the residue of the fight or flight response, and the cyst again responds to your pain. Its fibers loosen further. Okay. You steel yourself for another memory of pain and reach out to touch the cyst again. Again, the unbidden memories spring to your mind and you lose yourself among them until you reach out and seize one. Please, you whisper, hands raised, clean white dust untouched by the taint of the bloom, cakes your slender fingers. I worked for years on this sculpture. I've molded it with beams and chisels and with my bare hands when my tools ran dry. This is the only thing in my life that has meaning. Something in the stone is calling to me. It needs to be given shape. I know that, says the man who used to be your friend. I've seen what it has done to you. He holds a large hammer in his hands. His fists are shaking. You've changed. Ever since you brought this hunk of rock back from that other world, you've changed. It's not art that compels you. There's life already in that thing, and it's using you to get out. I'm here to stop it. We want pain, right? Then maybe we should scream at him? You won't ruin my creation? Yeah, you won't ruin my... Thanks, Q without E. You won't ruin my creation? Step aside. This is your last warning. I will destroy it, and if I have to go through you, I will. It is my creation! As you wish. His hammer is faster than you would have believed, and it blasts the bones in your hand to powder. You fall back, the pain following, and he strikes at the statue directly. The first shot elicits a high-pitched shriek from the stone, and you throw yourself in front of the sculpture to keep another one from landing. Don't make me! He never finishes the sentence, but swings again. Your shoulder collapses with a wet crunch. You embrace the statue, shielding it from the hammer. After a few blows, he focuses entirely instead on you. Grunting and growling, blood spatters the stone beside your cheek. At last, you topple bonelessly to the ground and watch as he reduces your masterpiece to a pile of rubble and splinters. You struggle to summon a single breath, a single sob. When the blackness comes, you welcome it. The ache in your heart has become familiar, even as the sorrow and heartbreak seem new and fresh each time. Different facets of the same emotion, each refracted through a new experience. The cyst's fibers twitch again, loosening one final time, revealing a frail, angular creature trapped inside. It bursts out of the cyst, leaving a glittering object behind in its haste to escape. Booyah! It's an abacus! Now that Cyst has disgorged its prisoner, the husk looks hollow, deflated, defeated. Examine the remains. Something catches your eye. It's a piece of sharp metal that protrudes from just underneath a fold of decaying bloom flesh. You cannot begin to guess at its function, but it's small and easy to carry. You slip it into your pouch. Mesmeric handle. You found this object inside a ruptured bloom cyst. It is made of azure steel and resembles the hilt of a small knife, but the blade is missing. And this device is inert because it lacks power. But its potential energies are great, tapped and conducted through strange dimensions. It would require an appropriate power source to reactivate the missing blade. Okie dokie.
Making a note.
The creature within the cyst was an abacus, a being that feeds on trans-dimensional energies. Assuming that it was in the cyst for any length of time, it must have been surviving by draining energy from the object you just found. A closer examination of the object should tell you more. Thank you. Utterly empty cavity. Okie dokie, now let's go to the Sundermuns. That's some echo. Save the cyst. Cyst. And now, pee break. See you in about 90 seconds. Welcome back. Yes, there I am. Oh, pee right back. Yes. I told the joke. Whoopsie. What are I doing here? Sundermun and Sundermun, Bloomflesh and Sundries. Tools lie scattered on the workbench along with fragments of leathery bloomflesh. Still there, yes. Each of these vats is filled with colored dye extruded by tiny wriggling creatures that congregate near the bottom. Ooh. We don't see the creatures, but that sounds, I don't know, weird. Well, it's Numenera, so it should sound weird.
All right.
Heyo, Heldrick! Hevu Uwu! Are you talking Afrikaans? Or a different African language? Hi! Let's talk to Sundermun, the younger or the elder. Who first? Did I just save? I think I did. I'll just save again. Let's talk to the younger because she's just standing there. This friendly-looking youth is dipping strips of cured bloom flesh into colored dye. He looks up as you approach, revealing startling yellow eyes. So far, it seems like, even though there was no one. even though there's no new viewers here, I think it was a good idea to start the stream 2 hours later. Because now you're here, all of you. All of you are here. Yay! No, I'll stick with webcam action right now. Okay. This friendly-looking youth is dipping strips of cured bloom flesh into colored dye. He looks up as you approach, revealing startling yellow eyes. Oh, hello, sir. Are you interested in our wares? They are handcrafted and one of a kind. What sort of work are you doing? I'm Sundermun's apprentice. That means I do whatever he tells me, really. Mostly harvesting usable bloom flesh. It's always an adventure, flesh harvesting. Though my elder tells me I'll be going away on a big adventure soon. Can't wait. Aye. Tell me about your work again. Like I said before, I do whatever Sundermun tells me. Cutting and preparing the bloom flesh, dyeing it, and harvesting more flesh when we need it. What do you sell here? You'll probably be interested in the specialty items and armor we craft from bloom flesh. But you also sell everyday stuff like clothes and building supplies. Everybody buys from us, even those murders. Talk to my elder if you want to buy anything. Oh! Oh, sorry, Q without E. But that's still a decent info. I'm interested in your wares. What do you got for me? Great! You should talk to my elder. He handles the actual trading. Are there any malls nearby? I know of one for sure in Chayurchin slum. Been there a really long time. I hear there's one in the old slave block too, but I don't go there because of the Merns, so I can't be sure. Isn't it dangerous to harvest bloom flesh? Not really. People only fear the bloom when they don't understand it. I've lived here all my life, and nothing's ever gonna happen to me. And nothing's ever happened to me. Oh, but it will, youngster, chuckles the old man who stands beside the apprentice. It will. You abandoned us. No, I invited you to a party with even more people. At least that's what I'm trying to do. I guess we should look at your schedule properly. I had my problems with Twitch these days as well. I think it's a Twitch problem. Because I also don't see how many viewers I have right now. Oh. Can't you scroll that down? Maybe on a laptop, maybe it works. No, at 2 o'clock there's not much going on. Are you excited for... And Heldrick, I think you are, because I only knew about that because you were posting, sharing, retweeting that on Twitter. Silmarillion? Serious? Really? That's... Well, in my opinion, the Silmarillion is overrated. Not what happens there, but how it's written. That's the same thing I would say about the Bible. But I'm still looking very much forward to it. You knew about that, Q without E? Or did you know about that before you heard it from Heldrick? Because because it is the Bible. Yes, it is the Vala? No. What's the earth called? Nirn. No, Nirn is Elder Scrolls. Ninth World is Numenera. And no, I think the Earth is, I think, even someone else. Marian told you. Oh, okay. Let's continue with Sundermun. The younger man laughs uncomfortably. You keep saying that, but you won't say when. If I did, you might try to avoid it. Okie dokie. Farewell. Oh, so long.
On my way.
Yeah, elegant. Okay. It was announced 3 years ago. Yeah, I only know it because of you, Heldrick. It seems like you didn't hear that before. Wow. But that it's supposed to be a Silmarillion story? I thought that was new news, wasn't it? Or was that known even 2 years ago? Hey, Sundermun the Elder. Near a display of goods that all appear to be made of bloom flesh, either tanned, beaten, carved, or cured, stands an old man who looks fairly tanned, beaten, carved, and cured himself. He also has startling yellow eyes, just like his apprentice. Hello! Admiring my stock? You won't find anything else like it, not even here in the bloom. All handcrafted and one of a kind. I have some questions for you. Who wouldn't, when confronted with such unusual merchandise? Ask away. What about that cyst? Whatever was in there was probably pretty dangerous, and now it's out. Thanks to certain someone who thought they knew better than the bloom. The one you opened? Allowing that horrible creature to escape? No, I'd rather not even think about it. What exactly do you sell here? Bloom flesh, my friend, bloom flesh. We craft everything out of it. Clothing, armor, building materials, jerky, you name it. The bloom cultists in particular love wrapping themselves in bloom flesh, but everybody buys from us, even the Murdens. You might say it, our business is blooming. He raises his eyebrows at you expectantly. It wasn't for you. And if it was news, is what he's referring to, Q without E. It wasn't news to him. Glad you didn't wait that long. Yeah, I feel that's the same way about Game of Thrones, which I haven't watched, read, touched in any way, and I'm waiting until I know it will have an ending. Ha! Good one, Sundermun. Thanks, Sundermun. I liked it myself when I first heard it. What do you think of the Murdens? Those hunchback beak faces, I'll steal anything they can get their claws on. We sell clothes to them, and because of that, they mostly let us be. But I trust them as far as I can throw them, and advise you to do likewise. What do you know about the bloom cultists? Got some odd notions, those folk. They worship the bloom as a deity and aren't afraid of being eaten. Crazy, of course, but they are best customers, so I'll just smile and nod when they natter on about it. You hate that you hate Game of Thrones, or you hated that there's still no new book? Yoksu, that's a new name. You look very much alike, you two. Well spotted, well spotted. And why would you speculate that is, sir? What do you say, my dear, lovely, beautiful, smart, intelligent, witty, funny, and I don't know, strong, and yeah, what do you say, my viewers? Yeah, that's why I'm not. That's one of the. That's the excuse that I took for myself for not starting Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire, because I would like to, but I also want to have it in a collection with all the books. And when I'm buying a collection now, there is one book will be missing in this collection and will stand next to my collection, and I don't want that. I can't look at it. So gladly I have one book that's like that. That's why in reality I haven't even read any letter of them. But also, I'm afraid I would like it very much, and then I would, well, never have an ending. Ooh, it is reported. Here are the news with the Heldrake. Oh, right. Yeah, didn't you want to write 3 more? It's incredible. Oh, he did. And he has a son? Didn't know that. Okay. Cure without these things, Sundermun the Younger is Sundermun the Elder's son. Then I will answer that. Wrong. We are, in fact, one and the same person. I see you don't believe me, so let me explain. One day, soon, my younger self will be walking along when the bloom will open a maw beneath him, and he'll tumble into another world. Years in the past, or maybe the journey to the past will be when he tries to come back. Whatever the case, it'll take him many decades and worlds to travel back here. I envy him the experiences he will have, but thank him for the memories. Does knowing what will happen change the future? Why? I knew what was coming, but it hasn't changed my past. Shouldn't you warn him? I did, but I didn't listen. Besides, when I think about all the stories I filled my head with, it's hard to remember exactly what I said about when the big day is. But it's coming soon. More questions. Ooh. And don't forget that one English book equals 2 books in the German release. Oh! Huch. They seem to be... Are they... How many pages is one of the longer Game of Thrones books? Heldrake. Oh, yeah, Heldrake. Tell me some of those memories, please. He looks over at his younger self, who is assiduously not listening. He laughs a little and speaks softly. And why is my table... It's moving so easily. That's better. Whew, I think I'm red in the face now. 1200. Cheaper to sell and more to sell of them, right? Oh, I love... That's accurate, QLE. I love my hardcovers. And now, this leg is too high. Finally. Okay. My first journey was to a desert world where the natives looked like humanoid spiders. It's the best way I know how to describe them. They spoke with their minds and a combination of colors that danced between their fingers. It was difficult to get them to understand me, but we managed to find a way. I'm lucky they didn't eat me. When I'd gained their trust, I worked with them as a guide and hunter. I had flushed their prey and they'd snare with great chemical lattices. But one was always looking at me like he wanted to get a taste of me, and one day he made a move. I ran and found the bloom's maw still open, but time bent and I came back in the past. The one you want to watch for is Isgil... Schnibblibble. You too, okay. Then I'm not alone. Hardcovers are... That's accurate. They really look very good when you hold them into the camera, Heldrake. They're also shiny, and aren't they even embossed a little so that you feel they go deep in some places? I love it when you feel the words on a book. Okay, enough book porn. More of your adventures. Well, when I got back to our world, I didn't know what it was the past. It was the past, right?
but no one I knew was alive yet. I went home and met my parents at the age my young self is now. I realized I needed to lie out and get my feet under me, because I've never been enough of an idiot to ignore good advice from my older self. They both laugh at this. What? I set my heart on reaching the Steadfast. When I came on her, she was... Wait. Why'd you stop talking?
Making a note.
Because I remember how frustrated I was when the old man wouldn't tell me about the beautiful woman he met. But let me tell you this. She was tall and dark, with eyes that dropped away into eternity. Her voice was the sweetest music, and when she spoke, I had to concentrate to get her meaning, because otherwise I'd drift away on the song. Her form was a delight, and we shared a time that... It was the best time of my life. Tell me more, tell me more. Not boring your ears off yet? Yeah, fine. We spent glorious years together, she and I, but as the time went on, I aged and she stayed radiant. She was an August, see? Long-lived and wise. Eventually I told her I had to return to the Bloom to teach myself how to live, and that it'd be years before I could make it back to her. I'd be old when I got back. She didn't care, she said. She'd find a way to make me young again and to grant me the span her kind takes for granted. When the boy here heads off on our adventure, why? Then I'll go west again and find her. Allein! Kaninchen. Aber auch wieder willkommen zurück in den Lurk. Hallo, Chili Cat! Nein! Das fand ich auch total komisch. Ich war einkaufen, hab das gesehen und hab sogar geklingelt, aber niemand hat aufgemacht. Ich hab's halt versucht. Das wollte ich nur noch sagen. Kitty Cat muss jetzt ihr Paket bei der Nachbarin abholen, die uns einmal zum Kaffee und Kuchen, Tee und Kuchen eingeladen hat. Was irgendwie so als Kennenlerntee. War niedlich, die Idee, aber wir sind halt nicht Menschen, die sowas gerne machen. Und jetzt ist es immer komisch, da zu klingeln. The Bloom have a first name. She. Oh Gott. Okay. Is it Orlando? Tell me more of your adventures. That's all the stories I can tell you. Right about here is where I tell you that I need to save some surprises for my young self. Sometimes this time stream seems to make things especially easy. Okay. Let's see what you have to say. Ooh. Bloom Flesh armor. That's a good one. Oh, but it's medium armor and I can't wear that. I shouldn't. But I'm the only one that can wear that, but what does it say? A tentacle latches onto a nearby enemy. That sounds lovely. So it's the hentai armor. Fashioned from the flesh of the Bloom, this armor is very much alive. It is, perhaps, the elder Sundermun's masterwork. The thick flesh offers excellent physical protection, while its trans-dimensional nature protects the wearer against more exotic attacks. And the center of the chest is a tiny maw, though you're not sure where it leads. The living flesh is tough and resistant to manipulation, making the armor difficult to put on. However, once it is worn for a time, it shapes itself to your form, becoming as familiar as your own skin. The sensation is comforting, even if the notion is not. Bloom Bone Shard. I don't think I need that. On the other hand, the blade of this dagger was harvested from one of the Bloom's teeth, fashioned into a crude-looking but effective weapon. A fragment of the Bloom's mind still persists inside the shard. In addition to its slashing damage, it can also penetrate the mind of your opponent, lessening prowess in combat. When you hold it to your ear, you hear odd, disturbing whispers from the Bloom, sending an involuntary shudder through your spine. Ne? Dein Blick.
Okidoki. I don't think it would be something for Tybee, but he has this excellent ranged weapon. So, nah. 3-4 plus 15. 4-4 plus 12. Wait. But it uses speed and not intellect. We are better with intellect. Damn. It. Blood globe. This glass globe holds a viscous cocktail of pulsating pink and purple auras, muddied by folding layers of putrid decay. This foul brew was harvested from somewhere in the depths of the bloom. Tormented, haunting whispers of the bloom's digested victims still trickled from the object. If the globe was hurled, the sludge would spatter everyone in a small radius. Any person struck by the sludge would experience the same mental torments as the hapless victims of the bloom, whose dissipating minds are still contained in the syrupy muck. Ooh, 24 mental damage. Damn. It's rare that I buy ciphers, but this one. Wow. Much better than... Well, I have space, and I have 2,000 shins. It's not that much. But I can sell some stuff. Yes. Let's sell the Else window, which doesn't do anything else. So, bye-bye. The same with the Liquid Death. Bye-bye. I don't need that. But it's only 28. Hey ho, Cutie Cat! Yes, I did. And I have viewers at this time. Even though Cutie Cat Q without E said she was here at 3 o'clock already. So, yeah. But this means that Cutie Cat, can you change my YouTube and Facebook and Twitter graphics again? Please. And Twitch. With the new hours. Thank you. Okay. I do not believe it. Yeah, I mean, it's the same viewers I always have, but they are here. So that's a plus. I'll just keep that. Cyclonic Cube. I could use that, so I will not sell it. All of these. Ooh, that's usable. Here, that's bad, isn't it? +4 damage. I don't need that one. 3, 3, 9, 15. 4, 4, 12. Yeah, but it's off the resonance chamber, so maybe I should keep that. Okay. He's got more cipher limit, and I think I want the blood globe. 24 mental damage. That's bye. Thank you. Told ya. Yes, you did. You have special dinner wishes. Robin, now is your chance for dinner wishes, you mean? For dinner wishes meinst du? Was habe ich denn gekauft? I was grocery shopping today, so yeah. Good one, Feuerglatze. Dinner. Any requests? Maybe. We have so much salad, lettuce. Auf Deutsch vielleicht. Dönerwisches. Ja, den Salat vielleicht irgendwie wegbekommen. Und Gurke haben wir halt auch noch welche. Aber wir haben auch Tomate. Auch nur eine. Und Aubergine. Pilze habe ich gekauft. Nee, mach was dir Spaß macht. Ja. Und übrigens, die 2 Sachen auf dem Schuhschrank. Einer ist ein Bon, den ich vergessen habe abzugeben für Flaschenwerfen. Also Pfand. Nicht auf Kirmes, sondern Pfandbon. Oh, immer blöd, wenn man das vergisst. Das andere ist ein Gutschein für ein Eis günstiger. Veganes Eis in günstiger. Sollten wir dran denken. Vielleicht mal einsetzen. Also. Ratatouille. I don't eat rats. Flaschen werfen. That's how it felt. Like a giant salad. Okie This pod-like lump of bloom flesh has the shape and size of a small hemispherical bit of fruit. That is where the similarities end, as the flesh bud is quivering and still very much alive. A mangle of teeth and tongue-like protrusions. Protrusions. Who makes these words? Protrusions. You can't say that in a cool way. Protrusions. Appear on one side whenever the lump is anywhere close to living flesh. When applied to bare skin, the flesh bud bites and grafts itself to the host, taking on the texture and appearance of the host's skin. Once attached, it vastly improves the metabolic processes of the host, increasing quick reaction speed. I love this. That's my favorite soundtrack of the whole game, I think. This Heartbeat Bloom Soundtrack. Wieder mal einen Haufen Muggels in der Schachtel. Eine Muggelpackung. Ich muss die mal wieder auffüllen, die Quotes. Aber ich weiß nicht so richtig, womit. Naja. Metabolic buds are used by plants and animal life as a way to preserve a part of their gene pool or as a method to spread their seed to other parts of the world. You try to suppress the incipient thought that this flesh bud exists for the same reason. Ooh. Right. One speed edge. That's a good one. That's a good one for Tibia, who doesn't have an artifact. I want that. Tibia, oh, you get that. It's yours.
Fits like a glove.
Like I said. Okie dokie. Now, thanks for, well, that was nice shopping. Sundermun the Elder. Ich hatte viele Sachen gesagt, die wir haben und kam zu dem Entschluss, was die am wenigsten Arbeit macht. Ich habe keine Special Dinner Wishes. Sorry. Ach, und das mit den... We don't have anything I don't like in this house, flat, apartment. So this will be hard.
You've got it.
Also, she can't do anything that I don't like, but she does. Even yesterday, I'm not a fan of goulash. All the goulash I've ever had in my life was just potatoes in pale tomato soup. Blech. But yesterday, the vegan goulash that Kitty Cat made, mwah. Was a good one. Walks without fear. Okie dokie. Then maybe you should not walk that far. An enormous statue of a woman wielding a hammer stands here, its lower half lost to the shadow in the depths of the bloom. I'm waiting for Walks Without Fear for a nice little thumbnail action. Booyah! At first, you're not sure if your eyes are playing tricks on you. A semi-transparent man shuffles and struts before you, his body fading into and out of incorporeality. His once fine clothes have rotted away. His long beard looks to be host to a number of small vermin, and his eye sockets are disturbingly empty. He's got rats in his beard? Okay. Yet, as you draw near, somehow he hones in directly on your face, and you have the unnerving feeling that he can see more than what's on the surface. The staring sockets are deep and cavernous, as if they contain depth and space beyond the confines of his skull. He says nothing to you. Who are you? His sockets stare into you for a moment while he considers. At last he shakes his head and says, I do not know. I have language and I have the memory of muscles, but I do not remember how I came by these truths. What I remember is waking in the depths of the bloom. I remember walking. I remember years of darkness before I emerged into the upper reaches at last. What happened to you? The bloom took my old life from me. I woke in its beating heart and gestated there while it digested my memories. I remember being terrified, but I do not remember what terrified means. I had a name. I had a body. I had emotion and a life outside of this form, but I do not remember any of those things now. I do not remember fear. I am reborn in a new life. I am free. What you doing here? Okie dokie. Cute without eat. I walk through this larger part of me and let it. This larger part of me, so he thinks he's the bloom, maybe? Is that what he means? And let it guide my steps. The weapons of humans mean nothing to this shape, and the paths of the bloom open for me. I am a part of the bloom. It is a part of me. I have been to places others have never seen, and I have seen worlds that lie waiting beyond the moors. Beyond the moors. Friesisch, Moors. Pobacken? Witzig. Maybe his name was Jim Bob Banan Split Split Split. I doubt that, but everything's possible in the ninth world. You came from the depths of the bloom. What did you see down there? If I speak of them, the memories disappear from me forever. Yet thoughts themselves are ephemera, I think. Ethereal? Ephemera? Like our lives. Gone, and only those we choose to share have any hope of continuation. But even that memory is vanity. In a generation, who will remember these words? His socketless eyes look away and then back again. He smiles gently. Let me tell you what I saw. The bloom reaches through dimensions and across realities. What did I see? I saw a vast beating heart. I traveled through skeins of bloom's arteries and its viscera. I stood in open moors and looked out across alien landscapes where lost sailors mourn for home, or crystal fields glitter under the distant stars. I walked through the slave block where the great Chila staged her revolution. What would you know? Have you been to any of those places? No. I stand at the tip of the tendril and watch the landscape pass by as the great devourer prepares to latch itself to another world. Why would I ever step outside my host? I am without danger here. Each day another piece of myself slips away. Tell me about the sailors. Lascars, they call themselves, holding fast to their history because they fear they have been forgotten. Old luxury and gilt banisters are their prison bars. Again? I no longer remember. Ephemeral are memories. Once told, they are forever forgotten. Damn. Okay, let's listen to him. What about the slave block? Chila was born there, not physically, but her legend. The first Memovira. He forces out this last word with an effort and a spray of intangible spittle, a wince on his face. She spoke to the bloom and it answered her. The monument to her strength is a murder nest now. The gullet. That is its name among the bloom guides. A place of veins and flesh, where the memories of the bloom's chosen, where they are digested. Echoes wander the place, echoes of the eaten. He holds a hand to his head as if pained. Tell me of the heart. A great chamber. The place where the bloom spawns and devours its voices. Where its whispers gather in conclave. Where its intelligence is strongest and sharpest. I woke. Woke? There, and I knew it for my master. Crystal Fields. Which one? Racist? I don't know. You don't mean Jim Bob Banan split split split? You mean something that he said, right? A great plateau whose towers bedazzle the eye. Lightning flickers among the towers and strange silicate beings tunnel beneath the glassy surface. There have I watched children of stars and information speak to one another through dancing colors. Ach so, das! There was no racist context anywhere. No. Let's read that because we can't ask him again. Here. Great plateau was towers because there are lightning flickers among the towers. Strange silicate beings tunnel beneath the glassy surface. They have a word. Okay. Have you... I asked that before? No. Let me ask you about something else. If I can recall the answer. Farewell. Tough luck for you, man. Wow. Okay, now we've been here, and there, and there, and here. Well, now we want to go into this place.
All right.
Game saved. These sturdy jugs contain a slimy, viscous fluid. A tendril of bloom flesh squirms around in one of them. Words dance across the face of this scroll in a script so tiny you can't quite make it out. Only the title is legible. The Chronicles of Chila the Great, Volume 6. Cramped writing loops around this scroll in strange patterns and shapes. The only text you can read clearly is the title, The Chronicles of Chila the Great, Volume 2. The Blue Mountains. The Blue Mountains cold. If you ever want to read about Chila the Great, I have the Torment novellas as PDFs. Chila the Great is mentioned there. And it's a cool story. And there are, I think, 5 of them. I have them right there somewhere. But yeah, there are books in the Numenera world. Okay, dokie. Bloom Cultus, what do you say? What do you say? What do you say? What are you? Friend or foe to our god? The whispers aren't clear. I get that, yeah.
Let's go.
He does have antlers. Okay. It's not clear if the items on this table are intended for food preparation or ritual display, or both. This polished skull is chipped and pierced in many places. Oddly, it has no teeth, suggesting that it swallowed its prey whole. Rumpled blankets and rags lie on the floor, exuding a sour, sweaty odor. This is probably where some of the cultists sleep. Then I recommend not doing that, Kudari. Okay, okay. This shelf holds a number of odd offerings. A skull, a sealed jar, some candles, a metal cup, and the shriveled remains of a small, hairless creature. Hey, Bloom cultist. What's up? A Speck has always been here, even in my grandmother's day. They all look about the same, too.
To action!
Yeah, Arechi. Alright, alright. Okay, Ragman. We got not to talk about! Okay. Guess not.
All right.
Let's go to the Observant. No, let's first look at this shrine. I gotta say, some of this doesn't look... Some of this... I think there's some stuff you could still eat and it would taste quite fine. Not the hand, but maybe this here. Maybe I'm just... That's not what Cutie Cat without E, I wanted to say. Cutie Cat cooks for me, I think, but I have no problem with this here. Someone likes skulls. Yeah, and bones. Shwoobidoo.
Ready.
A slab of pitted stone sits in the center of the shrine, heaped with a motley display of offerings. Judging by the accumulated dust and filth, it's been here for decades or longer. Examine the offerings. The objects on the slab are a bizarre mixture of trophies left by visitors to the shrine. Many of the offerings appear to be food of the most ghastly nature. Candied eyeballs, amputated fingers and claws, and little cakes and pies. And puddings made from other unidentifiable organs, probably all harvested from vanquished foes. You also see broken weapons, severed limbs, and a scattering of silver items. Little pots, cutlery, buttons, and other discarded scraps of the metal. People have obviously been leaving their offerings here for some time, and everything is a jumbled mess. Your sharp eye catches sight of tiny bloom tendrils that snake along the surface of the slab, attaching themselves to the offerings. They writhe and undulate as if feeding upon them, yet the offerings bear no physical signs that they've been touched. Nothing new. Okay, this might be a cool thumbnail for YouTube, so please get ready to stand here. Yeah, look that way. Get the game saved away, and let's click on...
Ready.
Yep, there it is. We have it. Good. Observant Speck. Maybe even closer? Just...
Ready.
Okay. Oh. What do you have to say, huh? Observant Speck. In a shadowy corner of the shrine lurks an old woman, so tiny and unremarkable that she blends into the gloom. Well, she's not that tiny, she's exactly my height, okay? She's been watching you since you arrived, following you with bright, intense eyes. You notice that one of her arms is missing at the elbow, and I noticed that the webcam is looking perfectly fine. Can I even... but maybe... better for the eyes. That's okay. It's okay. Greetings! The whispers told me you are coming, Castor. They often do. Soft and shifting. Okay. The whispers told me you were coming, Castor. They often do. When someone they regard as interesting finds their way to the bloom. Her voice is soft and shifting, as if everything she says is echoed by the chittering voices of the bloom. Suddenly, she is at your side, one small hand touching your arm. Her eyes probe yours. Did you come here with purpose? Do you know what place this is? You realize that this shrine does feel familiar, as if you, or perhaps the Changing Guard, have been here before. Let's try to remember. Pah! Easy. You scan the room, searching for anything that might seem familiar. A metallic gleam catches your eyes from the nearby slab of stone. It lies partly buried beneath a motley pile of offerings, but the unusual shape of the metal sparks a memory. Heldrick, ganz andere Frage. Völlig neben der Spur, wenn du gerade hier bist. Du hattest letztens einen Tweet über eine Kündigung abgesetzt. Oh, ist das schon zu viel? Jedenfalls wüsste ich gern, um wen es genau geht. Hab aber noch nicht anders gefragt. Ja. Das war's. The old woman follows your gaze. He left that as an offering, your sire did, when he was here. You can almost feel the weight of the device in your hand. With a sudden, jarring clarity, you see the chamber as it was 40 years past, when the changing guard stood before a group of robed bloom cultists, offering the device in trade for information. And in the corner, an elderly woman, bird-like, with shining eyes. This woman you've just met, or someone much like her, was at the shrine then too. He pored over every scroll, she whispers half to herself. Wanted to learn how Chila forged a friendship with the bloom, a bond that imposed no price upon her, or so he thought. And now here you are, in the shrine of Chila the Great, Chila Silverskin, Chila the Bride of the Hammer, and I am her observant Speck. What did you want from the bloom? To create a portal to another world, a place called the Ascension. He believed that the crystals of that world would save him from death, so he descended to the bloom's heart and forged a bond of sorts. From that bond, a new Maw was born, and took your sire to the world he sought. But for every bond, the bloom always exacts a price. If it could not feast upon your sire then, it will find a way to devour one of his offspring. More than one, perhaps. Her eyes glitter. What can you tell me about Chila? Stories? Passed from one Speck to the next. So many stories told by so many tongues. Too many to hold in my head, but the bloom remembers, and it whispers in my ears to remind me. Tell me where Chila came from. The Speck closes her eyes and cocks her head like a bird's, as if listening to the voices of the bloom, and as she begins to speak, the faint chitters and whispers that always underlie her words grow louder, twisting them around in your head and spawning images in your mind's eye. Look up, high on the cliffs, a sturdy little house. The cliffs of Sargus flash before your eyes, crowded with old ramshackle homes. They cling to the rocks like spindly crabs, high above the sea. One of them catches your eye, a pretty little house, freshly painted blue and green, in a solid nook of stone. A man and a woman dwell inside, a father and a mother. 2 children they have, a girl and a boy. Now you can see the people too. The girl is tall for her age, robust and strong. Her brother is small and cautious and quick. Keep listening. One day, the father pulls a treasure from the sea. You can see the man in a fishing boat, hauling a silvery cylinder out of his net, looking at it in wonder. He brings it home to his family. What shall I do with this artifact, he wonders, for I am a simple man, not a wizard or sage. The man glances out of the window of his house and sees his 2 children playing in the street. Artifacts bring trouble, he says to himself, and have a family to protect. I'll bring this treasure to the boss of the town and she will thank me for it. So the next day, the man gathers the treasure in a sack and sets out for the manor at the top of the cliffs. His daughter Chila wants to go with him, but he shakes his head and goes alone. Many weeks pass. The man never returns from the manor on the hill. Chila asks everyone she knows,
But no one has seen her father. One day, just as she and her brother leave their house in the morning, they hear a crash behind them. In your mind's eye, you can see the pretty little house pulling away from the cliff, its wooden supports snapping like twigs, bursting apart as if it falls towards the sea. It strikes you as strange that this house, seemingly kept so much better than its neighbors, should collapse so suddenly. The children race back along the road, only to find that their house is gone, and their mother lies dead among the rocks. As her brother curls up in the street and weeps, Chila stands beside him, gazing toward the manor at the top of the cliffs. "I know you did this," she whispers, "and I know what you did to my father. The treasure you took from him is my birthright, and I will have it back." Vengeance? Not vengeance. A desire to be extraordinary. The Speck's voice is quiet again, the whispers receded, and you sense that these words are truly her own. Chila believed that her parents were easy victims because no one knew who they were. If they had been prominent and well known, the boss of Sargus wouldn't have dared to harm them. But they were small and simple folk, so no one cared when they died. How Chila found her way to the bloom? Tell me how, please. Once again, the Speck cocks her head and closes her eyes. Yep. Look up, up. Two orphans climb the cliffs toward the manor high above. In your mind's eye, you see a brother and a sister in their late teens as they scale the sheer cliffs of Sargus. Above them, carved from the natural rock, looms a great walled house. It belongs to a woman, the boss of Sargus and mistress of the bloom, she who killed their parents and took their birthright for herself. The girl is Chila, tall, broad-shouldered, and flamboyantly dressed like a glittering gem against the dull stone of the cliffs. The boy is her brother, Shade, slender and quick, cowled in black. Through the unguarded window they climb, slipping into the garden beyond. There, at its heart, is the artifact, their birthright. In your mind's eye, Chila and Shade crouch on a ledge. You can see the artifact as they must have, a metallic cylinder fitted into a strange device. She leans forward, so eager to see what is rightfully hers, but the ground turns slick and she falls, toppling into the garden, close enough to the artifact that she can almost reach, but she's snared in a net of rainbow light. You can see Chila crumbled under the strange net, trapped, calling for her brother. Shade watches from the shadows. He makes no move to help. Betrayed, hisses the Speck. Led into a trap by her twin. But if she couldn't have the artifact, at least she could touch. The Speck's voice strange as it does so, you can feel Chila straining, reaching a hand through the net. As her finger brushes the artifact, it flashes with brilliant light, and it's gone. But not gone, not really. It's part of Chila now, changing her slowly from within. She can sense the change, but she doesn't know what it means, not yet, not as they lead her away. You catch a glimpse of Chila being led in chains from the great house. She's cast into the bloom as a slave, and there she meets me. But it wasn't really you, right? No. Not me, not me. She shakes her head slowly as if she isn't certain of her own words. It was another woman called the Speck, my namesake, the insignificant Speck. That's who she was back then. Tell me what Chila did to warrant such respect. In the dark, in the bleeding guts of the bloom, a score of young women crouch in a cell carved from the living flesh of the bloom. You can barely see the girls in your mind's eye, thin and tired, huddled against the fleshy walls, bound in chains. Who they were before doesn't matter. They are slaves now, doomed to labor in the dark. One day, someone new is brought to their cell and chained beside a small girl who calls herself the Speck. The new slave says her name is Chila. Even in chains, she meets the guard's eyes and they look away. Ooh, and they look away. Already the bloom whispers in her ears. Chila places her hands upon its flesh and strikes a bargain. Fun fact, Chila was the namesake of my Baldur's Gate character,
Dwarven is just a fighter? Oh, a dwarven defender, I think they are called. A dwarf, a woman, and I called her Chila with Chylah. Chila. And someday I will continue my journey in Baldur's Gate 2. Keep listening. You owe us, Chila whispers to the bloom. For the slaves you've eaten, for the Speck's arm that you devoured, you owe us something in return. The flesh trembles beneath her hand and opens. Beyond is a chamber full of weapons. You catch a glimpse of Chila passing blades and stranger armaments to the other girls in her cell. Me too, me too. Chila picks a glowing hammer for herself, or maybe the bloom does. It fits her hand like it was made for her, and it never leaves her side again. That's why I always choose an axe or a hammer for my Chila. Then we gather together and make our plan to escape. When all of us are ready, Chila starts hammering on the door to our cell. The guards come running and we fall upon them, cutting them down, tearing them apart. Then Chila leads us from our prison and we pour into the market, gathering more and more slaves to her banner. We kill every master we can find. In the market, we decide to make our stand. Chila knows that her enemy, the boss of Sargas, the woman who killed her parents and turned her brother against her, can't ignore us. We form up into ragged lines, then we hear them. The roar of the soldiers, the tread of heavy boots getting closer, closer. Somehow, you can hear them too, along with the terrified murmurs of the slaves as they grip their weapons and prepare to fight for their lives. Noise, confusion. The Speck's eyes are still closed, but she staggers back, raising a hand to defend herself against an invisible attack, as if she thinks she's in the midst of a battle. You can faintly hear the screams and cries, the clank of steel on steel. I stay by Chila's side when the battle is joined. I try to guard her back, but she's struck, first by an arrow, then by a blade. Whenever they cut her flesh, silver scales grow off the wound, and she keeps on fighting. Chila knows why. When she touched the artifact, her birthright, it became a part of her, changed her, so that she cannot be killed. She smiles, raises her hammer, crushes the skull of every soldier who stands against her. A shadow passes overhead. It's her traitorous brother, Shade, soaring on wings of flesh and steel, come to kill her at last. He strikes her once, twice, and again. The Speck's voice goes quiet. Each time, silver scales grow to cover the wound. Instead of getting weaker, Chila grows stronger. She grabs him by the foot and smashes him into the ground, but instead of killing him, she speaks to him. It's a whisper, and I can't hear what she says, but Shade begins to weep. When she lets him go, he stays on the ground. The battle is won, and the enemy soldiers are running. Chila goes to face the woman who killed her parents. I leave you with your life, she tells her, but not your name. Get out of here and never come back. You can almost see the broken woman, a feared warlord only hours before, fleeing alone and in shame from the battle. The Speck pauses and opens her eyes. That's where the story ends. Our enemy fled and the bloom was ours. Sargas Cliffs was ours. Chila became the first Memovira. We ended the trade in slaves, and Chila ruled Sargas and all the lands around for half a century, until the bloom called her to its heart. What happened to the boss of Sargas? She was forgotten. Some of the slaves said that they followed her, thinking to kill her despite Chila's promise of safe passage. But before they had a chance, she vanished. She escaped to another world, or was eaten by the bloom. A mischievous smile plays at the old woman's lips. I prefer to think the latter. Were you there? I see the memories as if I was there, as if I was her, the first Speck. But I couldn't have been there. It was too long ago. Me too. And it's from all the 4 or 5 novellas, it's always the first one that I can think of. Yeah. And in the novella, there's more about the story. The slavery is back now. In a different form, yes. The old slave-holding families bided their time for generations, marrying themselves into the new leading families of freed slaves. They found ways to justify slavery as a punishment for the wicked. So it is with the wealthy and powerful. They are more like Bloomflesh than they'd care to admit. Stubborn, enduring, difficult to kill. What does that mean? Its whispers called her, and she disappeared into the depths. Maybe it took her to another world, or maybe she still lives down there. One day, she'll return for her Speck. I'm sure of that. Boah. I don't remember. Should I look? I go look. Maybe I can find it. Maybe in a minute. Oh, and it's 6 novellas. And this is the cover. And okay, bye. You mean because I just went away and now I'm back. I think maybe the delay might be a little greater than I thought. Also, signed by the author, Mer Lafferty. And okay. And I think this has the color silver, because silver is the tide in Numenera. That means that you want to be remembered. And I felt very much with her because, well, yeah, that's what I think sometimes too. Not in a boisterous way, as an asshole, but I want to be something left of me when I die. So that's why this story was spoke to me. He says, "Go on," he said, snarling up at her. "Finish it! Do as mother said you would. Win your legacy with my blood." She stroked his face. "Do you think I let the words of a ghost decide my fate? Nobody shapes my destiny but me." And with that, she helped him up and put him on his feet, then turned to face the protector, still standing among her remaining men on the highest tier. That's what Chila told her brother. Yep. Back again. Yes, it's... Maybe it is, but also I feel that sometimes... Yeah. But it's really a big part of what I want. Noise, yeah. I thought, I was afraid that either I wouldn't find the quote or that it would suck, or there was none and we wouldn't find out what she said in the book as well. But we did, and was exactly the right thing she could have said. Okay, tell me again. Okay, no more stories. I have other questions. I want to know more about you. Her small hands enfold the stump of her missing arm, a self-conscious gesture. I'm only a speck, a mote of dust easily missed. Nothing important save for the words I speak, the stories I tell to those who would hear them. But I observe much that passes in the bloom, and I hear still more in its whispers. The whispers are the voices of the bloom? So they are. A lot of people hear them, but none as clearly as me. How did you lose the arm? I didn't. She did, the first speck, the insignificant one. How did she... Yeah, that's exactly what I was afraid of. 1 or 2? What would you choose? Your arm is missing, look. What a douchebag move. Yeah, I hoped you would say that. The old woman glances down at the stump of her arm, and a shocked expression crosses her face. I must have forgotten. How strange. She cocks her head, addressing the whispers that only she can hear. Did you eat it? Did you? After a few moments, she frowns and turns back to you. Nothing. They don't answer me at all. Tell me again how you lost your arm. I don't recall. I know the real Speck lost her arm. It was devoured by the bloom, but as for mine, I think it's always been this way. As long as I've been the Speck, and the Speck has been me. Other questions? Okie dokie. Bye. Q without E. See you. Oh, kurz Zwischenfrage nur noch. Am Donnerstag bist du nicht da, richtig? Von 17 bis 19:30 Uhr. Das heißt, ich werde nicht Don't Starve spielen, sondern Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. Ein okay, ein korrekt oder ein falsch reicht. Wenn du noch da bist. And I think she's gone. Okay. Is this a place of worship? Not really. People come to be close to the bloom because its might is strong here. They leave offerings. She waves her stump at the nearby slab. Valuables they've stolen, trophies of their kills, proof that they are hunters, not prey. Ah. Does the blooms respond better to thieves and murderers? Sometimes it pays more attention to them. Whether you want the attention of the bloom is another question. What sort of people? Bloom cultists most of all, but also guides, scavengers, merchants who fear to lose their precious cargo, travelers from other worlds, and the Memovira. Before she lost the favor of the bloom, she'd heap the offering stone with the heads and hands of those she killed. So haughty she was back then, so sure the bloom loved her and things would never change. Nothing is forever in the bloom. Are you a leader or a priestess? Me? Making speeches, punishing the sinful? No, I'm only a speck. They let me stay here, and I tell them stories, that's all. What do the bloom cultists believe? That the bloom is a god. Not a very kind or benevolent one, of course. Some people seek an illusion of safety by redefining the thing that they fear. Ah. Farewell. Sure. Ragman. Anything new with you? Guess not. Okie dokie. Then
Let's go.
maybe something changed with... What? A slab of pitted stone sits in the center of the shrine, heaped with a motley display of offerings. The metallic gleam of a device catches your eye again. The mysterious offering left by the changing guard. Look at it more closely. Only one end of the device protrudes from underneath some other offerings, its sharp edges glinting azure in the flickering light of the shrine. You're certain it belonged to the changing guard, and you suspect that it's a marecaster. Steal it. Okay, Tibia. My man Tibia, I want it. Give it 100%. You wait until the Speck's attention briefly shifts away and then seize the device from the slab. Careful not to knock any of the other offerings to the ground. The Speck turns back toward you, eyes glittering, and you think you hear a faint hissing, growling noise beneath the whispers of the bloom. Even though she says nothing, you suspect that she and the bloom know what you did. The device is cylindrical in shape, wrought from azure steel, with curved, sharpened projections on all sides, making it difficult to hold. It feels familiar to you, like a family heirloom that you've only heard about in stories but always pictured in your mind. Somehow you know that it's a marecaster.
Let's go.
Okie dokie. Now, do you have something to say to me? Do you still like me, Observant Speck? I think she does. Okay.
I am the very soul of action.
Yes, you are, Arechi. Yes, you are. Why does he have... I think because of the items.
Happy to help.
This tentacled maw appears to be dead. Its flesh is being reabsorbed into the bloom. The sign reads, "This way to Little Nilyesh," in a difficult to understand scrawl. I think I want to go to the Chayurgen slump before I do anything else. Because of Aratus. I want to cure him and his craziness.
On it. Let's go.
What do you say? What do you say? Arechi, Lascar, and... Okay. Ah, it's a race. A species.
Tishi volam sigulet kla Arechi.
Not in your tongue, good we speak. Arechi, she speak like you. These three humanoids wear intricately carved armor that makes them look like undersea dwellers of legend. You cannot recall having seen the material from which they are shaped either. Though the suits are bulky, their wearers move with a strange and fluid grace. You might have mistaken them for monsters, but their leader is unhelmed and appears human. She has close-cropped hair, an angular face, and her jaw is clenched, as if she were subconsciously chewing on a problem. At your approach, she gives you an irritated glance. You address the Jemadar Arechi. Speak what you need or be gone.
I'll remember that.
Then she reconsiders her words. Ordinarily, hospitality is ours. Forgive this one. The more to our anchorage has closed. She indicates the hideous, tentacled mouth that lies dead in the center of the platform. Another way we must find. Have you word of open moors that lead to our station? Beseech you even. Trapped here with the supplies we purchased for our compatriots. Then... Jemadar. Ah, I know them from... wondered why that word seems familiar, but the Jem'Hadar are the first real enemy in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Besides the Cardassians, maybe. Then maybe they aren't the first real enemy. They are the last. Well, they are an enemy species in Deep Space Nine. You'll need to answer some questions, man. Or woman, I think. Her jaw unclenches by the smallest fraction. Naturally, this one will seek to provide informative truth. Tell me about your anchorage. All the refuge we have ever known. We await the ship that will end our mission and take us home. Captain Janur commands us. If you find the Maw and speak to her, perhaps she can tell you more. Where should I go to look for Maws? This one hoped you would know. We are strangers here. Buying supplies is all we know, not hunting Maws. She looks down at the dead Maw on the platform. Here was the Maw that led to our anchorage. Here it had been for many years, yet on our return, dead. I don't know what that accent is, but it feels groovy, so I'll keep doing that. How did you come to be trapped here? Left the anchorage where our ancestors have served for centuries. Sought resupply as we have so many times before. Upon return, the way was closed. Again, she indicates the dead Maw at her feet. Worried now that comrades may suffer without us. Okay. Farewell. Farewell. This way first, or church and slump first? No, let's go this way first.
Finally,
Change my
something to
pitch
do.
up. This is our way first stop. The walls of this dwelling are covered in papers with various threats and slurs written on them. Still on both sides. It looks like a cool one.
At last.
You there! We need your help! Okay.
Here comes the boredom slayer.
I am ink juiced. I'm bloom juiced.
Ready.
This pool is filled with yellowish water. A wide area around the pool is wet, suggesting that people have been drinking the unpleasant fluid and possibly bathing in it too. Look into the pool. Beneath the surface of the pool is a large reservoir of fluid. You can't see anything of interest in its depths. Cultist? The Varjellen must smash his instruments and end his heresy. The great devourer writhes and moans. The Varjellen tinkerer is to blame.
Ready.
Short, thumbnail action.
I'm going.
And maybe now come from here. Just getting ready for some pictures. Okay. Sometimes you have to do that.
Go.
There we have it. Okay. Inkpot.
Here we go then.
What do you say? What do you say? This man is tall and gawkily thin. His wiry hair looks like an explosion, just like this. We can do it. We can do it. Looks like an explosion of metal springs atop his head. He regards you with bright, feverish eyes that seem too large for their sockets and smiles. Even as he motions you closer, the man is scribbling words on a scrap of paper. He has fastened some sort of harness around his body. It holds a tiny writing tablet, and inkwell so he can continue to write as he moves about. Dozens of scroll-covered notes are stuck to his leathery robes. Okay. That's Inkpot. Well described. I've heard rumors of one fitting your description. One who knows the secrets of the world, who speaks with the divine. Help us, brother, he intones in a wet and breathy voice. We are extremities of the great devourer, and we beseech your aid to right a great wrong. Wrong. Extremities? We are those who venerate the bloom as divine, and seek to become a part of it if it will have us. We are the only ones who can see that the great wrong has been done here. What sort of wrong? A terrible torment visited upon the bloom, our god. It is the work of Yoksu, the measurer and meddler who dwells in that nodular flesh. He raises his pen toward the house that sits on the other side of the platform, red and stinking and inflamed. Yoksu desires to understand the bloom, to quantify its impulses. This causes pain to our god. His eyes bulge even wider, and it occurs to you that you haven't once seen him blink. The evidence is clear for all to see in the raw and swollen flesh of Ioksu's house. We have warned Ioksu to stop his pokings and proddings and measurings, but he will not listen. What methods are left to us? He lets the question hang in the air, an unspoken threat. Perhaps you can help him to change his mind. At least a compromise, yeah? At the word compromise, his mouth twitches. Try if you like, but blasphemers are loath to compromise. They are steeped in sin.
Making a note.
His face brightens and he pulls a handful of scribbled papers from a pocket and shoves them into your hands. Scriptures! Scriptures of the great devourer to inspire your thoughts and guide your words. Another tortured smile cuts across his face. From the pen of Inkpot, who is me. This handful of crumpled papers is covered with messy scrawl. They purport to be a part of the canon of the Bloom cult, but they seem little more than the incoherent ramblings of their author, a cultist named Inkpot. Most of the pages are covered with grimy fingerprints and thick, dried blotches of yellow phlegm. What are those papers on your robes? Scriptures of the great devourer. They are ever-changing, an imitation of the bloom. You see? He tears one of the scribbled papers from his robe, crumples it up, and tosses it over the side of the platform. Those words are gone, forgotten, but new ones can be added as we like. He takes the scrawled paper from the little writing desk that is strapped to his body, spits a wad of yellow phlegm onto his black bag, and sticks it to his robe. Now, these words are part of the canon. Only a part. Everything written by an extremity is part of the scriptures. Until the writing is lost or destroyed. No one can know all the writings, just as no one can know every part of the ever-changing bloom. Can you tell me about your beliefs? I will not speak of beliefs, but I will tell you what is true. First, that the bloom is a god, the only true god, and all that takes place within its body, it's solid and real. That which exists outside the bloom is an illusion, a cruel trick, a falsehood. Second, that our goal is to become one with the bloom, to transform ourselves into living embodiments of its will, and one day to be called to its heart. What does that mean, the heart? When it wants us, the bloom will open a maw at our feet or reveal a tunnel where one hadn't been before. The passage will close behind us, and we will never be seen again by human eyes, but we'll follow its turnings to the heart and be one with the devourer at last, and pray to no one ever again. Tell me again about the heart. What do you think of the Memovira? When her will was one with the blooms, we revered her. But no more. She is no Memovira, not anymore, not to us. Another will be found in time. You think the ninth world is an illusion. I know it is. The people of that world try to tell you that life is not pain. They weave illusions and call them laws to protect the weak and the poor and the ugly, the malformed, but look closer and you'll see that they lie. He spits a gob of yellow phlegm off the side of the platforms. Only here, in the bloom, is the horror of life revealed without pretense. Becoming one with the bloom is our only hope of salvation. How do you plan to do that? We clothe ourselves in its flesh, feast on its bile and viscera. If we are lucky enough to hear its voice, we empty our minds and let it govern our actions and our thoughts. His long, misshapen fingers clench and unclench. The devourer will only call us to its heart when its will is one with ours. Let's talk about something else. Something else. His mouth twitches as if he's irritated to change the subject. Is it safe to drink the water from that pool? Better than safe. Those fluids are the holy secretions of the great devourer. To drink them is to put your mind in communion with the bloom. He leans closer to you, and your eyes are drawn to the profusion of festering sores in his mouth. You can listen to its voice and know what it wants. For a time, at least. Are you sure? Of course, drink the juices of the bloom, and your mind will be open to its thoughts and desires. Praise the great devourer. I have done that. I am bloom juiced. Nice. And it's 1922. Not the year, but the time. The clock time. Like we Germans say, the Uhrzeit. Over there. Luxus Shanty. I think I want to go to the Chayurchan slump before. Or to Yukshu.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Maybe we will save this for our next session. Save this. Huh? Yukshu. Or Chayurjion. What? Chayurjion, it's correct. Save the game. Thank you. All you nice, cool, and totally attractive people out there. Not only attractive, you are intelligent and you're also quick. You're quick on your feet. You can run very fast. Okay. Ooh, that's dark. Not the game, but my face. Lambada. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for viewing, for watching. And this was a success. There were people here, even though I only played Torment in English even. Thank you very much. We see us maybe tomorrow at 19:30, where I will play Resident Evil 7 DLCs, but in German. Also morgen 19:30 Uhr, Resident Evil, die Add-ons. Mal schauen, womit wir anfangen, welche das überhaupt sind. Wird bestimmt witzig. Und this stream here with Torment and Numenera starts next Tuesday again, also at 5 o'clock p.m. or 17 o'clock if you want to say that. And am Donnerstag spiele ich Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, weil ich glaube, hat sie jedenfalls auch schon mal gesagt, dass Q Without E an dem Tag nicht kann. Und es ist ja schließlich das Spiel.
Minus a few forevers, but still.
Aber sie hat sich das gewünscht und ist nicht da, deswegen werde ich es nicht spielen. Also, ich liebe euch.